Hi there, my zots. Sorry I'm late. I fell asleep. Well, I was sleeping. Somebody kept me up really late last night. I'm not gonna name names, but I got up last night and I fell asleep and I slept through the entire stream. So here it is, 10:34, and I'm doing the stream. Luckily, the people that kept me awake also woke me up to do the stream, so that's good. Hold on a second. So we're gonna do this by the seat of our because I woke up and I jumped on here and my hair is a mess because I just woke up. And we're gonna fix the chat. All right. Oh, the messages are visible. All right. Hi and welcome. Hi there. So last night, a good friend of mine, uh, we had kind of had an epiphany. There was a moment where what we're going to discuss today is there are times when you have information and you want to share it, but it doesn't actually work very well. And it's a moment that Jesus Christ refers to, or Paul refers to, as um, having not being able to drinking milk or eating meat. Oh, hello, hello, hello. I'm live online. Can you hear me? Hello. Somebody's calling me, but they're not answering. I don't know. Well, this is Helper. Helper is calling me, but not answering. I don't know why. Maybe I should call her back. All right, I'm going to call her back. Ah, it's ringing. One ringy dingy. Two ringy dingies. Hey, can you hear me? Well, you're on the live stream. I'm live right now, and I'm talking to you. Hi, what? No, you're on the. Okay. That was odd. Okay, so so I don't have a lot prepared, but I do know in the Bible that it talks about the Apostle Paul says there are many of you that are eating with that are fed with milk, but you are supposed to be fed with meat. And when you're feeding with milk, that means somebody has to spoon feed it to you. And if somebody's spoon feeding it to you, then you may need to make sure that they don't eat more than they can. When you feed a baby milk and you give them too much, they vomit, and it doesn't bother them at all. They just bleh, and then all the milk comes out, and they're like, "Okay, I'm done." Um, However, if you're eating meat and you eat too much, it can cause you to choke to death. Um, so we have to be careful about that. Now, there are times, specifically, when you are a man of God or a prophet or a prophetess or whatever, that there are times when you have information and that you have this information and you know that if you share this information, it can cause a person to stumble or fall or destroy their faith. Um, those things are stuff that we are, as Christians, supposed to avoid. Jesus Christ said, "There are many things I would like to say unto you, but you are not able to bear them." Um, that is that was the crux of Jesus Christ's problem. He had all this knowledge and information, but he was not able to share a lot of it because if he shared it, it would cause people to stumble. So Jesus Christ went through a lot of effort and energy to make sure that a faith was raised according to his level, that it was as he went forward, his faith increased so that he could then learn more about the faith, that he could have more of his questions answered. Jesus Christ didn't go off and just teach people everything that they thought they knew or that he thought that they needed to know. Jesus Christ taught a person what he knew they needed to know. Now, how do you know if a person needs to know a thing or not? Well, a lot of the time, the best thing you can do is just ask God. Um, Whenever you're talking to somebody or sharing the word with someone, the best thing you can do is just say, "Hey, God, should I share this with this person? Hey, God, should I share that with this person? And when I am sharing it with that person, how should I share it? Should I give him a little bit? Should I give him a lot? Should I pull back? Should I add more? All these things. What should I do? How should I do it?" Because when you do that, it causes a person, when you, I have my girls, right? My girls are in my life. I have my helper and my lamb. And one of the things I make sure I do is that when they are in my life, I do not become their God. And what I mean by that is if there's a time where they're supposed to seek after God, I do not get in the way of that. Because if I got in the way of that, I would become God for them, and I don't want to be that. Also, if I try to teach them something that they are not ready for, then that's on me and that will cause them to stumble and walk away from God. We were in a situation recently and one of them knew more than the other about a specific topic. And I told one of them to make sure that you did not tell the other one until they were ready. And then one day God answered one day God shared with the one that the information that I had wanted to impart. But see, when I let God do it, it happened on God's timing and it actually had benefit because when that happened, then she was able to hear it. If I would have shared it, she wouldn't have been able to hear it. And so now when God shared it with her, we were able to rejoice and become brought back together and be a unified force together as one. But if I would have gone out of my way and like tried to shove this down her throat, it would have caused division and forced her away and probably never would have came back. So I just so you know, if you have any questions, concerns, personal issues, life dramas, especially when it concerns the Bible, please feel free to post your comments in the post a comment in the chat, so that way I can answer whatever question you have. Like I said, I'm flying by the seat of my pants. I mean, I literally woke up right when I jumped on because I fell asleep, and it was I don't know. I don't know what my problem was. Oh, I know why. Because somebody kept me awake all night. Anyway, but yeah, it is important when we are teaching, specifically if you have more information than another, that you give it out to a point where they can hear it. And if you don't, then it's going to be a problem. Now, there is a converse as well. If we are the person that is lacking information, and there are people out there that have far more information than us, and they're not sharing that information, it's probably because that person does not believe that we have the capacity to learn it yet. Yet. So how do we overcome this inadequate or this inequality? How do we get past this? I don't know this chasm of like differing understanding. Well, this thing you can do is specifically if you recognize that there are people that have more understanding than yourself, and they're not readily filling in those gaps. It's probably because you have not been showing an interest. And I'm going to tell you why. Because if you're the one that has the information, and if you're the one that does not have the information, you see somebody that has all this knowledge, and they're not sharing anything with you, and you're wondering why, it's because you're not showing any interest in knowing. And I've found this. I know this to be true because I've been in several situations when I didn't when I moved in with my father. Um, I never I had When I moved in with him the first time, I had no interest in God. I moved in with him. I lived with him for about a couple months when I was in high school. And right after high school, right before the army, right after high school, I moved in with him for 3 months, and um, he was a Christian. He was a pastor of his own church, and I wanted to learn. I didn't care about his church. I wasn't very interested. And because I had no questions, I got zero answers. Right. And so, but I was getting to know my dad. And we were, jiving and getting along. And then I went and joined the military, and I didn't know much. I didn't know anything about the Bible. I knew my dad was a pastor. I knew we had church every Sunday. But I didn't care. So I got no information. I got nothing. Okay, then we skip ahead to when I joined the military and I get kicked out of the military for selling acid. And I yeah, I get arrested and all this stuff. And then I like, okay, I didn't get arrested. I guess I got arrested, but I was not imprisoned. Anyway, so then after I leave the military and I move in with my dad, at this point I had become like a true believer in God, like a hardcore believer in God. And now I know I have this man at my disposal that knows so much about the Bible, and I know very, very little. So, how did he know that I had all these things that I needed to have answered, all these questions that need to be fulfilled? Well, because I asked questions. When I lived with my dad for those first 3 months, I didn't ask any questions about spirituality at all. And guess how many answers I got? Zero. When I moved in with my dad when I turned 21, I had I never the questions never stopped. I could not stop. And we'd answer question after question after question for days on end. So if you are a new believer and you want to know more, you have to ask questions. You have to. This is the only way that a person is going to know that you're ready to hear what you need to hear. If you're not asking questions, then they will assume that you don't want to know anything.